And suppose I cried and said I think I finally learned my lesson.
When John Foster sang one trembling line on American Idol, he broke America's heart. But what no one knew at that moment was that behind his cowboy hat and soft smile was a secret so heavy, it nearly kept him from stepping on that stage at all. Tonight, you'll learn the story Idol never told. The loss, whispers, and the truth that explains why his voice carries more than just a song. John Foster Benoit III was born on July 9, 2006, in Addis, Louisiana, a place where family names last for generations, and the rhythm of life is set by church bells and community barbecues. His family runs Benoit Country Meat Block, a butcher shop opened by his grandparents in 1982. It is beyond just a business. It's the heartbeat of the town. People come for smoked sausage and boudin, but also for warmth and for belonging. That's the soil John grew in, steady, grounded, and soaked in tradition. He didn't grow up dreaming of stardom. In fact, he didn't even touch a guitar until he was 15, when a cousin gifted him an old, worn-out acoustic. He taught himself to play by ear, listening to George Strait, Conway Twitty, and Merle Haggard. He learned to listen and to feel. That's where his voice took shape, somewhere between the old school and his own heartbreak. By 18, he'd already shared small stages with country names like Doug Stone and John Schneider. But for John, music wasn't about spotlight or applause. It was about healing. That's why, even as his songs grew stronger, he stayed focused on school. He graduated valedictorian of Bruce Lee High in 2024 and started studying biology at LSU. His dream? To become a singing oncologist, someone who heals with both science and song. When he auditioned for American Idol, he showed up with 3 coolers of Cajun food from his family's shop because hospitality is what he knows. At first, the judges weren't convinced. Then he sang Conway Twitty's Goodbye Time. Mid-performance, Luke Bryan flipped his no to a yes. It was honesty that changed his mind. But honesty comes with a price. As John's popularity rose, so did rumors. People questioned his age, claimed he wasn't really from Louisiana, even whispered that Dwight Yoakam had secretly signed him. None of it was true. Calmly, John cleared the air. He was 18 from Addis and unsigned. Every piece of him was real. And then came the moment that turned his journey into something unforgettable. John performed Tell That Angel I Love Her, a song he wrote for Maggie Dunn, his best friend who died in a car crash on New Year's Eve 2022. The whole town of Addis had mourned her. For John, the grief was permanent. On that stage, with eyes glassy and voice breaking, he sang straight into the silence. When he whispered, "I love you, Maggie," it was beyond a performance. It was a promise. Lionel Richie called it real life. Carrie Underwood called it beautiful. But maybe the truth is simpler. It was grief made audible, and it reached everyone. Have you ever heard someone sing and felt like they were telling your story? That's what John does. He opens his own wounds so others can see their own. With fame comes curiosity, and one of the first questions people began asking was simple. Is he single? The answer is no. John has been with his high school sweetheart, Brooklyn Burke, ever since their days at Bruce Lee High. She was the spirited cheerleader, and he was the quiet kid who carried his guitar everywhere. Years later, not much has changed. Brooklyn is still on the sidelines, cheering him on softly, her presence a steady anchor in a world moving at lightning speed. That's the paradox of John Foster. In a world built on noise, he wins people over with silence, with steadiness. He doesn't fake it to make it, or he doesn't pretend to be anything other than a small-town kid with a big heart and a guitar. Whether or not he wins Idol, he's already given us something bigger. A reminder that music isn't about perfection, it's about truth. And maybe that's what makes him unforgettable. Because when John Foster sings, it feels less like you're hearing a contestant and more like you're hearing someone finally say the thing you have been trying to put into words all along. In a world full of noise, his voice reminds us of something rare. That truth, no matter how quiet, always finds a way to be heard.